Hi everybody, I felt called to hop on a YouTube because I can be a little bit more free with my explanations and take a little bit more time with everyone because I know there are so many people struggling or in an extreme, either extremely struggling or extremely excited. And whenever there are polarizations of any type, whether you're on the excited side or the devastated side, it is not a good thing. Why? Because we as humans are meant to be able to accept and hold space for and be neutral in our acceptance of what's going on around us. That is always the goal. So I wanted to start with talking about something that I refer to a lot of times in my daily life, which is called the map of consciousness. So this map came about by Dr. David Hawkins, who is an MD, PhD psychiatrist. He actually passed away maybe a year ago or so. And he talks about how, and he wrote many, many books, but in his iconic book, Power versus Force, he talks about how people vibrate on a scale, and it's from 0 to 1,000. And that anybody vibrating below 200 has more negative type emotions. And we'll put an attachment at the bottom of this video so you can look to it yourself. And once you cross over 200, you start entering things like courage and eventually love and eventually 1,000, which is ascended masters on the planet, which is people believed to be people like Moses, Buddha, Jesus that have achieved enlightenment. So the goal on the planet, in his mind in this presentation, is to keep working on your energy field and yourself and how you accept and how you interact with humanity so that you can evolve higher and higher levels up this scale. And many people are born well below 200. And so this can be a journey that goes on throughout your entire lifetime. And when the day after the election, I had multiple patients that were devastated. I had several patients that were ecstatic. Really COVID-esque, reminded me of COVID. Not that people were ecstatic during COVID, but just the polarization energy was very similar. And I can tell you that that's one of my skills that I get to share with all of you is holding that safe, neutral, and grounded energy. So what I told these people that were devastated is if you are somebody who typically vibrates at the level of love, which by the way is pretty rare to get to that 500, and is able to see love even in people that they come in conflict with, is able to lead from a place of their heart and from love. If you are typically someone who is of that type of vibration and you are allowing any situation, whether it is the election results or literally anything you're saying yes or no to doing, if you're doing that and it's bringing you out of that vibration, then you're letting go of your power. So the sentence that was in the book that changed my life, and I've shared it before, but it said, one person, so that's just you, one person vibrating at a frequency of 500 of love negates stadiums full of humans below 200. Okay, so stop for a second. Think about that. You are a vibrating human at a high level, literally that energy is so strong that it negates the energy of people that are spiraling or that are in anger and guilt and grief and fear and control. So stadiums full. But what it said at the end of that was just by existing. So if you are somebody who has historically been a people-pleasing accommodator or someone whose worth has been decided by how you show up in other people's eyes, which is honestly so many people, I see it a lot in my male patients where it's all tied into their career and their ability to bring in an income and for their family. But I see it a lot in my female patients where it's just that kind of like archetype of the healer over-giving type of person. And that can happen in both genders. So if you tend to be in that space where you're constantly doing things because your worth is decided by that. And remember, many of us, I was just exactly like that. Most of us, this is a subconscious need. It's a subconscious process. We don't know that we're doing it. So the bottom line is that if you are constantly feeling like you can't relax because you've got to take care of this person, that person may need you. Wait, I got to go do this. Oh my God, my kid this. All of those different thoughts, and it can tend to get you spiraling. This statement freed me because it said, just by existing, which means if I can maintain my frequency, which at 500 of love, if I can stay in love, I am doing the work of stadiums full of people that are negative. So if you are somebody who got super, super devastated from the outcome of the election or anything else, understand that if you get into that darkness, if you're into victimhood, if you're into fear, if you're spiraling in anger, you may want to allow yourself to do that for a little bit just to kind of feel. I'm not saying not to have emotions, so have your emotions. But remember that when you stay out of love for too long, you're literally doing exactly what they and I think very differently about all of this than many people, which I'll share in a second, want you to do, which is they want you out of your power. So do not give them that. Make sure you stay, do whatever work you need to be doing, and then pop back up into that place of love. Find things to be happy about. Find things to love. If you are somebody who is thrilled about the election, you have been following this the whole time, you love all the policies, everything worked out the exact way. If you are finding the need to gloat or post excessively or talk down to other people or, then you are also coming out of the 500. You're going into pride or other negative emotions. And that negates your capacity as well to help the planet. So what it boils down to is the state of sovereignty. How do we stay sovereign in ourselves? So my personal opinion, which I don't share a lot, is I'm very not political. Never have been highly political. In fact, my position on our government is that it's antiquated. It is that no human fully sides completely with either party, that we are in a state on the planet, we're in a place on the planet where we deserve something better than the structure that we have. So in light of all of that, I choose not to engage and try to hold myself above. I don't watch the news. I don't watch the media. I didn't watch, honestly, either candidate speaking. I tried to hold my light, and I can only speak on the things that I have direct experience with, which is healthcare. So the exciting thing, there's a couple of exciting things that I would like to redirect if you're upset, or I would like to reinforce if you're happy, which is the fact that RFK Junr was bold enough to take a stance throughout COVID. And the current administration that was in place during COVID did a lot of things in ways that I really had an issue with personally. So I witnessed control. I couldn't prescribe hydroxychloroquine. I couldn't prescribe ivermectin. My videos and even my social media, to a certain extent today, has been shadow banned, where it's getting blocked from being shared. My reach, I can't grow it at the pace that I should be growing it at. And all I did was bring up experiences directly from me that were not politically charged at all. So the nice part about RFK Junr is he's talking about all of these things with a lot of my friends, like people like Zach Bush in regenerative farming, and a lot of other very proactive, cutting-edge scientists in anti-aging and regenerative medicine, and really demanding that we take a look at the toxicity levels that have gotten into our environment, in our foods, in the air, in the fact that we're getting direct marketing about pharmaceutical drugs, where I always made the joke, by the way, about drug commercials, that this was way before COVID. I made this joke that if you were an alien and you landed on the planet Earth just to see what was going on, and you decided to watch TV for a minute, and you saw a few commercials for medications that then said side effects include to lovely music with pretty people dancing, blah, 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 and death, that you would literally say, get me back in the spaceship. This is the lowest level of being that we have seen. Because why would you be selling something that is a chemical that could kill you, right? So I never understood that at all. Getting patients through programming to feel like something is going to be all skipping and singing, when in fact they're even actually presenting the bad things that could happen, was always discordant for me. So to have someone that was bringing that up, that's in a political realm, since I've never been, bringing that up, bringing up the problem with fluoride in our water, which basically calcifies our pineal, which is our intuition, bringing up, the fact that we can get a French fry, which is not good for you, I know, but a French fry in the US and a French fry in Europe have 10 or 12 ingredients versus 3. Like that should be illegal in my opinion. So these are the things I know. I also know that over the past few years, the government has been interceding in other ways. They have been banning things we commonly use in the office, like peptides. And they've been controlling our access to things like stem cells. So we've had our hands tied because we follow the rules to be able to serve people. But it has been a direct experience where I've had patients do really well with certain things and then get told by the compounding pharmacy that they've been pulled off the market by the FDA. So just like I was questioning during COVID, what is this? Why is this happening? I've been questioning that too, as have a lot of my colleagues, because they've even been threatening access to bioidentical hormones, which so many of my patients, both men and women, it has changed their lives. They've even gone back as far as to say in the 90s, the studies that vilified hormones are even being recalled. So the fact that a governmental agency would have the ability to control a compounder and block access to practitioners that have good, clean records because of a presumed agenda of big pharma or whatever else the agenda is, insurance, I don't know, and I don't go into the darkness. But for me, there's a global agenda. Both parties and even both candidates I viewed somewhat as puppet masters being controlled by a greater agenda. That's just how I viewed it. And I will just say that I do think even though the president-elect has a lot of massive issues, let's be very clear, massive issues, the planet is stuck in a very toxic energy right now. And what I believe is that sometimes if things are so dark and toxic, and we're talking about in every institution, the medicine I just told you, medicine, we've been hearing about Hollywood's insanity, the banking, the education, literally everything. We've forgotten what it is to be compassionate, connected humans. So when we're in a vampiric cultural energy where we're just abusing the planet and abusing each other and everything's about who can make more and take more and control more, sometimes that darkness requires something of similar darkness to expose whatever can possibly be exposed. So if you just think of it that way, that the similar energy can potentially poke a hole in this so that we can get even just a little bit of light and more sound, balanced, younger humans can come in and make effective changes. I believe that it's going to happen in all aspects of control over our bodies, in all aspects of all the financial decisions. We need a change. So I just bring up to you today that if what it's taking, if you can trust in the universe and stay in your 500 and just believe that there must be some reason here, trust that the reason is that the crack needs to happen so the light can start coming in. And I believe that place to focus on the light is in RFK, because he had my support when he was running as an independent. And the fact that he was honestly smart and savvy enough to know that he couldn't win that way, I think just gives him the ability to say he's a smart and savvy man, not necessarily that he's siding with one side or the other, even though he had to. That is my opinion. So the fact that he is already talking about a regenerative farmer coming into the USDA, about taking fluoride out of the water. These are some of the new things about Big Pharma not being on the commercials. Some of this, if this can happen, then we may pave the way for more things to happen to crack that dark controlling energy. So I hope that piece helps, because I want you to understand that when you are an independent, sovereign human, you have the capacity to find peace and love inside yourself, no matter what chaos is going on around you, no matter what, whether it's excited chaos or it's desperation chaos. So how can you come back to the middle? What can you choose to do? And this is something I said all during COVID. What can you choose to do today that can make you feel relaxed, in control, full of gratitude? Maybe it's go put your feet in the ocean. Maybe it's soak in Epsom salt. Maybe it's go stand by a tree. Maybe it's reach out to a friend you haven't talked to in a long time, or it's journaling, or it's go to the gym and just lift more weights than you ever have. Whatever that is, take back your sovereignty, because the future of our planet is dependent upon people being sovereign enough to not slip into victimization or gloating and bullying. That is not where we are going as a civilization. We're going into one of acceptance and love and change. And just because it may not quite look that way to everyone right now, if you trust that this may be a means to an end and you get out of whatever these polarized energies are, we are going to get there faster as a humanity. You may want to check out the Global Coherence app at HeartMath. HeartMath is an institute that's been studying the power of us being in our heart energy since the 1990s as well. And they have been able to prove that enough people focusing energy on breathing through the heart, on meditating, can literally change the frequency coming off of the earth. So if that can happen, imagine the change you can make in yourself, in your experiences. We do not understand this yet. So this has not made our science, our medicine yet, but it is already being proven in a lot of different ways. So try it out for yourself. Find ways to stay at 500 or work towards 500. Do not sacrifice family, relationships, when I hear stories from patients of infighting, we are, as a democracy and as people, meant to have different ideas. That's where change comes. That's where we get excited, when we bounce ideas off of each other. With darkness comes the light. So just remember that. Try to find a way to hold peace. Try to stay neutral and in love in every interaction that you have. And I send all of you the biggest hug ever, today and always.